Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember, context is everything. Media Network founder and CEO John Michael is reading a textbook, cover to cover. Today, we talk about World War I and the thing that really started it. Well, that's as we're told. Let's read about it. Yesterday we talked about a little bit of a little context of what brought us to World War I after 200 pages of what brought us to World War I. Yesterday was like a synopsis of those 200 pages. Today, it's actually going to start. The Guns of August. Now this is section 2 of chapter 27. Now, the Guns of August. Setting the scene, Bertha von Suttner devoted her life to peace. Though the daughter of a noble Austrian military family, she wrote a best-selling anti-war novel and organized a peace society. Her tireless work won her the nickname Peace Bertha. Yet, in April 1913, Suttner wrote in her diary that the eager European disaster is well on its way. If so many seeds have been sown, surely the weeds will sprout up soon, and surely so much stockpiled gunpowder will explode. Peace Bertha died on June 20th, 1914. 8 days later, an assassin's bullet set off the gunpowder and ignited a war that engulfed much of the world in 4 bloody years. Assassination in Sarajevo. The crisis began when Archduke Francis Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary announced that he would visit Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia. At the time, Bosnia was under the rule of Austria-Hungary, but it also was home to many Serbs and other Slavs. Serbian outrage. News of the royal visit angered many Serbian nationalists. Serbian nationalists were angered by the royal visit of Archduke Francis Ferdinand. They viewed the Austrians as foreign oppressors. Even worse, the date chosen for the Archduke's visit was June 28th, a special date in Serbian history. It was on that date in 1389 Serbia had been conquered by the Ottoman Empire. On the very same date in 1912, Serbia had at last freed itself from Turkish rule. So we're talking about 600 years. Wow. 500 and change, whatever. Some members of Unity or Death, a Serbian terrorist group, commonly known as the Black Hand, vowed to take action. As one conspirator later recalled, our decision was taken almost immediately. Death to the tyrant. A fatal shot. The Archduke ignored warnings of anti-Austrian unrest in Sarajevo. On June 28, 1914, just 2 years after the Serbian independence, after 500 and some odd years under Ottoman rule, 2 years to the day after their freedom from that scourge, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie rode through Sarajevo in an open-air car. Stationed along the route were several Black Hand conspirators. As the cars passed, one of the conspirators hurled a bomb It missed the Archduke but injured an officer in another car. Later that day, the Archduke asked to visit the wounded officer in the hospital. He did not know that one of the conspirators, Gavirlo Princip, was still waiting. Gavirlo Princip was still waiting, one of the conspirators against him. As the car set out, Princip sprang forward and fired twice into the back seat. Moments later, the Archduke and his wife were dead. Sounds like he was doing the right thing, going to visit the injured officer, but that did not work out. The conflict unwinds. New heading. The news of his nephew's death shocked the aging Austrian Emperor Francis Joseph. Still, he was reluctant to go to war. His government in Vienna, however, saw the incident as an excuse to crush Serbia for good. A harsh ultimatum. Austria sent Serbia a sweeping ultimatum or final set of demands. To avoid war, said the ultimatum, Serbia must end all anti-Austrian agitation and punish any Serbian official involved in the murder plot. It must even let Austria join in the investigation. Serbia agreed to most, but not all, of the terms of Austria's ultimatum. This partial refusal gave Austria the opportunity it was seeking. On July 28, 1914, 1 month after the murder, assassination, I'm not really sure what the difference is, but you hear the word assassination and murder not being used interchangeably, even though it seems kind of similar. Austria declared war on Serbia on July 28th, 1 month after the assassination of Archduke Francis Ferdinand. From capital to capital, a war between a major power and a small Balkan state might have been another summer war, like most European wars in the past century. But as diplomats sent notes from capital to capital, larger forces drew the great powers deeper into conflict. Austria-Hungary might not have pushed Serbia into war at all without the backing of its longtime ally, Germany. In Berlin, Kaiser William II was horrified at the assassination of a royal heir. He wrote to Francis Joseph advising him to take firm stand towards Serbia. The Kaiser assured the Emperor of Germany's full support. Thus, instead of urging restraint, William II gave Austria a blank check. Serbia, meanwhile, sought help from Russia, the champion of Slavic nations. From St. Petersburg, Nicholas II telegraphed William II. The Tsar asked the Kaiser to urge Austria to soften its demands. When this plea failed, Russia began to mobilize or prepare its military forces for war. Germany responded by declaring war on Russia. Russia, in turn, appealed to its ally in France. In Paris, nationalists saw a chance to avenge France's defeat in the Franco-Prussian War. Though French leaders had some doubts, they gave Russia the same kind of backing Germany offered Austria. When Germany demanded that France keep out of the conflict, France refused. Germany then declared war on France. By early August, the battle lines were hardening. So, if I'm understanding correctly, Serbia asked Russia for help. Russia asked France for help. Austria, Hungary, Prussia, Germany. Italy, but they didn't mention it this chapter. Am I wrong? I might be. The Schlieffen Plan. Italy and Britain remained uncommitted. Italy chose to remain neutral for the time being. Neutrality is a policy for supporting neither side in a war. Britain had to decide quickly whether or not it supported its ally, France. Then Germany's war plan suddenly made the decision for Britain. Years earlier, General Alfred von Schlieffen had developed a plan of attack against France. The Schlieffen Plan was designed to avoid two-front war against France in the west and Russia to the east. What? The Schlieffen Plan was designed to avoid a two-front war against France in the west and Russia in the east. Schlieffen reasoned that Russia's lumbering military would be slow to mobilize. Under the Schlieffen Plan, Germany first had to defeat France quickly. Then it would fight Russia. To ensure swift victory in the west, the Schlieffen Plan required German armies to march through Belgium, then swing south through behind French lines. On August 3rd, 1914, Germany invaded Belgium. However, Britain and other European powers had signed a treaty guaranteeing Belgium neutrality. Outraged by the invasion of Belgium, Britain declared war on Germany. Quick section here today. This is the last heading. Thank you. John Michael, Context is Everything Media Network. Please subscribe. Please like. Thank you. The historian's view. How could an assassination lead to all-out war in just a few weeks? During the war, each side blamed the other. Afterward, the victorious Allies placed all blame on Germany, because it was the first country to invade another. Today, most historians agree that all parties must share blame for the catastrophe nobody wanted. Each of the great powers believed that its cause was just. Austria-Hungary wanted to punish Serbia for encouraging terrorism. Germany felt that it must stand by its one dependable ally, Austria-Hungary. Russia saw the Austrian ultimatum to Serbia as an effort to oppress Slavic peoples. France feared that if it did not support Russia, it would have to face Germany alone later. Britain felt committed to protect Belgium, but also feared powerful German forces on the other side of the English Channel. Once the machinery of war was set in motion, it seemed impossible to stop. The Guns of August, a widely read study of the outbreak of the war, historian Barbara Tuchman wrote, "Military staffs, goaded by the relentless timetables, were pounding the tables for a signal to move, lest their opponents gain an hour's head start. Appalled upon the brink, the chiefs of state who would be ultimately responsible for their country's fate attempted to back away and pull the military schedules, dragged them forward." Let me try that last sentence again. Appalled upon the brink, the chiefs of state who would be ultimately responsible for their country's fate attempted to back away, but the pull of military schedules dragged them forward. Barbara Tuchman, The Guns of August. Although leaders might have made decisions, most people on both sides were equally committed to military action. Young men rushed to enlist, cheered on by women and their elders. Now that the war had come at last, it seemed an exciting adventure. British diplomat Andrew Gray was less optimistic. As armies began to move, he predicted, "The lamps are going out all over Europe. We shall not see them lit again in our lifetime. Thank you. John Michael, Context is Everything Media Network. Please like. Please subscribe. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Lovely weather, isn't it? Maybe.